Hello and welcome to Those Forking Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, pop culture, fandom, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I'm Christine.
And I'm Natasha.
And today we are doing our year in review. We are going to be going through our top 23 moments of 2023. It's going to be a super fun story episode. So we're very excited. This is our last episode of the year. Can you believe it? Our first full year of podcasting.
Wow. We did it.
We're ending our first season. This is the last episode of our first season of Those Forking Fangirls with 56 episods.
That's so many episodes. Oh my goodness.
We started in October of last year.
Yeah. I can't believe we've done that many though.
I know. It's wild. And I've been looking forward to this one. It's one of my favorites that we did last year. And last year we did our top 22 moments of 2022. If you missed it, that's one to definitely hit up because it's super fun. Today, before we jump into that though, we are going to move into Snap Crackle pop culture news. Natasha, you got some news for us?
Yeah. The Bridgerton season 3, Pollen season, Penelope and Colin, was finally announced. So it's being split into 2 parts, which a lot of us have thoughts on. I don't know, because they're only going to do 8 episodes. I think that's what is confirmed right now. The first part is going to be on May 16th. And then the second part is going to be on June 13th. So it's like a little less than a month apart. It's just Netflix's way, as they do. They did it with The Witcher. They did it with Stranger Things, and now The Crown, and now Bridgerton, where they split it up so that you have to continue to subscribe for at least 2 months. Yeah, it's a lot of people were hoping for like a March release because the production actually for Bridgerton has been done for a year and a half. And we were supposed to actually get it this Friday, but then the writer's strike happened and I think they just redid their entire Netflix schedule because they know this next year is going to be pretty rough with new content, so they pushed out Bridgerton because it's one of the most anticipated shows, which I'm fine with. I'm gonna be super happy when it comes out, and I think it's a good time, and it'll give me enough time to get my cosplays in order.
It's coming out right before my new book comes out, because what's the first date? May 16th or something?
13th
for Bridgerton.
The 16th, yeah.
Yeah,
May 16th.
May 16th. Yeah, and my new book comes out May 21st, 2024. It's called Attached at the Hip. It's a Survivor-esque rom-com. It's available for pre-order now. Links in the show notes. But yeah, it's coming out at 2 crazy times for me, right before the book comes out. And then part 2 comes right before my sister's wedding that I'm maid of honoring for. So it's going to be rough. I'm probably going to just wait and binge when I can. But I'm very excited too. Now, rolling on to our next topic here. Today in Taylor Swift news, Taylor Swift seems to be wearing her bangs to the side. There's much debate. Is this introducing a new era of Taylor Swift look? Because it's very old Hollywood feeling, and Taylor is due for a new album next year. She usually releases on a 2-year schedule. So if we follow that, it'll be 2 years since Midnight's next year. And we're all waiting for debut and rep Taylor's version. And for debut, she has side swiped ish bangs. She doesn't really have bangs, and they're kind of swiped to the side ish. So I was like, is she growing them out so by the time debut comes she's got her side swipe bangs? Or is this just a new look? There's lots of discussion on the Twitter on the Taylor Swift Twitter about this hair. In other news, Travis Kelsey had a game that Taylor was at this past weekend, and one of the commentators slipped up and was like, "There's Travis Kelsey's wife," and someone was like, "Not yet. That's Taylor Swift, his girlfriend." So that was funny. The internet was having fun with that. There's also been a picture of Ed Sheeran with Meredith, one of Taylor Swift's cats. So we are all speculating on Taylor Swift crazy internet that they just did Endgame for Rep TV. They just recorded Ed Sheeran's parts of Endgame. So that's exciting too. Taylor is 34 as we're recording this today. Of course, this is coming out later in the month. But happy birthday, Taylor. We love you. Oh my God. I was going to wear my Taylor shirt that you made me today.
Yeah,
and I
was
forgot
about to
because
say.
I was having a struggle bus morning. I got my COVID shot yesterday, guys, and it all goes like it swings back and forth with me in the COVID shot. I feel like I have barely any side effects and then side effects on the next one, and this swung to side effects. I had a rough night, so this morning was rough trying to get ready, and I forgot that I was planning to wear that sweatshirt. I'm sorry. I was excited too. If you haven't seen, Natasha got me a new sweatshirt for Christmas, and it says "Today in Taylor Swift News." It's going to be in our Christmas special. You'll see it. That'll come out this week. One more thing in news today. The Golden Globes dropped all their nominations. How are you feeling about these noms, Natasha? I haven't seen like any of the movies nominated. I've seen like 3, and usually I feel like at least I know of more, but I don't even know of like Anatomy of a Fall. I've heard of Killers of the Flower Moon. Is that the Scorsese movie?
Yeah, it's on Max right now or something. You can stream it.
Okay.
Maestro just came out with Bradley Cooper, obviously Oppenheimer.
Oh, I want to see that. Isn't it Maestro?
Maestro, yeah. I don't know what Past Lives are, and I don't know what the zone of interest.
Oh my gosh, I really want to see Past Lives. Everybody has raved about that film. I believe it is by the husband or wife of the filmmaker that made Everything Everywhere All at Once. Am I making that up?
Tiffany says Past Lives is so good.
Whoever made Past Lives is married to another filmmaker that's made another really good film. And I, for some reason, thought I read it was Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I'm not sure. It's been a while, but I really want to see Past Lives. And Barbie was nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. Air, American Fiction, The Holdovers, May, December, which just dropped on Netflix.
Yeah, I want
to watch
that.
Poor Things. Okay, this is the one I wanted to tell you about. So
this is the Emma Stone movie.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe is also in Poor Things, and he was just on Armchair Expert this month, and he was talking about how the movie is about, or this is a part of it. I don't know. I've never seen anything for it. I've never seen any previews, but I got the idea from what he was saying that he's like basically like a Frankenstein, and he puts a baby's brain in a woman, and that's, I'm assuming, Emma Stone. So she has like a baby's brain in a woman's body.
I keep seeing clips of this on TikTok, and it's really turning me off, and I'm like, what? Because I don't understand the concept. I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch this.
It's the same person who made The Favorite, so it's going to be interesting. Oh, Tiffany, I saw it on Monday, and it's a weird movie, but her performance is great. All right. I'm interested in seeing it because Emma Stone is the actor, the lead.
I'm curious as to why, I haven't seen Saltburn, but there's been a lot of talk around this movie.
Controversy?
No, just everyone says it's effed up. So I don't know. I thought it was
I want to
award
watch it.
show contender.
Isn't it Emerald Fennell, the same woman who made
Promising Young Woman?
Promising Young Woman. There we go. Oh my God. The woman movie. I loved that movie.
Tiffany said Saltburn is okay. It looks great, but lacks substance. Huh.
Okay. Interesting. I'm excited to see that Jennifer Lawrence has been nominated for No Hard Feelings. And
Yeah.
Margot Robbie's been nominated for Barbie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't think this May-December movie was a comedy or musical. I thought it was more like a thriller type thing. It didn't look, but yet Natalie Portman is nominated under musical or comedy.
They don't always have just musical or comedies under musical or comedies. If they like, don't know where to put something, I feel like sometimes it ends up under musical or comedy. Yeah, Tiffany says it's a dark comedy. That's what I got the feeling of from.
Oh, okay. I saw a couple interviews with Charles Melton and then Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore last night, and they had such great chemistry, like all three of them. And they just keep Natalie and Julianne as like, you know, older women. They're just like, he's just so beautiful, but he works past it, and he's such a great actor. And it was so fun
Who's
to watch.
he that you're referencing?
Charles Melton. He's from Riverdale.
All right, y'all. We are going to roll into our main discussion because we know it's going to be a big one. But before we do, I'm going to take a quick second to thank all of you out there listening. Thank you for supporting the podcast this year. We are so thankful to have this community with y'all. And we hope you're having a lovely end of the year and happy new year when the time comes. If you're not already, we'd love it if you followed the podcast for free in one of your preferred podcast apps. If you like watching the visual show, which is youtube.com/@those-working-fangirls, we'd love if you subscribe there for free so that you don't miss an episode. It really helps us out if you rate the show on Spotify really quick. Just if you like it, give it 5 stars. If you are feeling up to it, if you want to leave us a quick review on Apple Podcasts, that's super helpful. It just helps the show get out to more people, and that's really important, obviously, for us noob 1-year-old show.
As of right now, we have 598 ratings on Spotify. So we're almost at 600. So go rate us.
Nice. Nice. Thank you, everyone who's already done that. And thank you, everyone who's left us a review. We love y'all, and we're so grateful. All right. We're going to roll on into our top 23 moments of 2023. Now, I don't even know where to start. Natasha, do you want to kick us off with one of yours?
Sure.
There's so many moments.
So many. I'll just go with a really easy one. Because I think I would like to work up to like some of the best moments of this year. But not to say that none of these are lower.
No, it was hard to pick, just like because we have like 11 each and then one that was shared. So go ahead.
Okay, so this year Alex and I started experimenting with cooking because I looked at our finances and we were spending so much money on takeout like every week, and it was getting ridiculous. And I like in May I was like, okay, enough of this. We're deleting DoorDash. We're not doing this anymore. Especially with the economy and how expensive everything is. I just needed to make that decision.
They've jacked up the prices so much this year.
Yes. And we had so much fun cooking and trying out new recipes. Like Alex made some incredible dishes all year, and it was really fun to have friends over and cook for them. Some of my I mastered mashed potatoes. I made like a meatloaf dish a couple weeks ago that I really, really liked. Alex was better than me. Alex is way better at cooking than me, but like we're still pretty good. I think both of us together work really well. But he made this like chicken cobbler dish that I saw online, and that was my the tastiest thing I've ever had. I will find you guys the recipe. Alex and I we kind of changed it up. I wanted to give it to Christine because it's something that she can eat too. And then Alex made pasta. How do you say that, Christine?
Arrabbiata.
Arrabbiata with hot Italian sausage. It is so good. And he made like a vodka sauce, like a spicy vodka sauce, and got the blender out and blended up the tomatoes. Anyways, we had a great time this year, and we will definitely be continuing on the cooking experiment in the next year.
It's very funny because I had the same situation with DoorDash, and at the beginning of the year, I started in January. I was like, no more fucking DoorDash. Once a week, I'm allowed to get DoorDash. And so I tried to experiment, and I don't know if you remember my salad incident, but I spent 3 hours trying to make a salad in January with chicken, like breaded chicken. It was a disaster. It didn't even taste good. I was like so afraid the chicken wasn't cooked that after like frying it in the pan, I put it. Oh no! First I put it in the oven, and then I fried it in the pan, and I put it in the microwave. And
I remember this.
Disgusting. I like sent you a whole text chain. I was doing it because I was getting so mad. Like, I've discovered that I actually do just really hate cooking, and there's only so many dishes that I can eat with all my restrictions, and I get so anxious in the kitchen that I'm not gonna like whatever this new dish is after I put in so much time. I tried to boil eggs and I couldn't get the shell off. It came off in like a million pieces for that salad. So I like spent just like 15 minutes trying to get all the little pieces off a fucking egg because I boiled them like from the beginning. You're supposed to put them in once the water's already hot or something. I forget now because I did it that one time and I was like, fuck this. I got a salad spinner at the beginning of the year. I used it that one time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I did
remember
make myself dinner a lot more, but I just had my like one dish and I alternate the sides. And when I get tired of it, I have to like switch out like a different version of a potato or like a different vegetable, but it's always a turkey burger. It's the only thing I make because I tried to do rotisserie chickens for like the first half of the year, and I got so disgusted by them by like halfway through the year. I was like, oh, when I tried to eat a rotisserie chicken because I had too many. Sad times.
Oh, I'm sorry. While Alex and I over here are like cooking up a store.
You guys are having like gourmet meals. Alex has become a professional chef over there.
He really has. I'm pretty sure the only thing... Oh, go on.
No, I was just like, every time I'd ask you what you're having for dinner, you'd be like, this, blah, 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 blah. It'd be like a really long name of something I've never heard of that Alex found. What were you going to say?
No, I'm pretty sure that our Christmas gifts to each other are kitchen related.
Nice. Yeah. You know you're an adult when you're getting kitchen supplies for Christmas.
Okay, Chrissy, what's one of your memories?
All right. One of the ones I have down that was like really cool for me this year is I've been listening to Millennial and MuggleCast for a really long time. This year the two of us were on Millennial, and then Pam and Andrew were on those fucking fangirls. It was so fun. I loved the episode. It was like we recasted Twilight, and that was just like a really, really cool memory for me. And then I can should I do another one? Because that one was fast. And then also the other thing I have here is a really intense memory from the beginning of the year when Natasha and I filmed the Chain of Thorns video.
Oh my goodness.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. So I think both of these were at the beginning of the year. I feel like Pam and Andrew were on in like February or something. That was like our age of guests. And then the Chain of Thorns video we did was in January, and Natasha came over and we created like a whole set over my fireplace, and we were doing a dramatic reading of a scene from Chain of Thorns before it came out. And like that we were sponsored to do this, and we took like until 4 o'clock to get everything set up to start filming. And I had a matcha from Starbucks and I knocked it off the desk right after we did one shot and it spilled everywhere, all over my fireplace, in all the crevices that are in my apartment that I asked them to fill with caulk that they never filled, was just matcha. And if you were here last year, I don't know if you heard me talk about how I spilled a matcha on my like little coffee table, but that had like creases and it got under the creases and flies. Yeah, Gabby says flies versus Christine. Flies started birthing babies in that coffee table. No matter how much I washed it, like there was always a big ass fly in my house every day in the summer for like a whole month. And then I finally realized they were coming from my fucking coffee table and I threw it out and the flies stopped. It was disgusting. So of course when I spilled this matcha all in the crevices of the fireplace, it set the tone bug-wise for the rest of the entire year. I was like, fuck, I am fucked. Like Natasha was like spraying bleach in there and we were like, it was all over the walls. It was all over my desk here that goes up and down. So like, because it goes up and down, the legs have like creases because they like fold into each other. And I was like, my desk is going to be ruined. Like, so we spent a lot of time like cleaning with some serious cleaners and didn't finish that video until like 9:30 at night. But of course, come July, what happens? Ants like take over my entire apartment. Because there's matcha in the fireplace and that's where they are, all in the fireplace creases. Finally, that got my apartment people to do something about the creases and caulk them up. But
they had to come multiple times and you went on
they had to come multiple times. The first
trip.
time they just sprayed. Yeah. It was horrible. They took over one morning. I woke up and I was in the kitchen, which is all the way across this giant room. And I was just making oatmeal and I throw out my banana in the garbage and the garbage is covered in ants, tiny ass ants just going. And then I follow the trail across my entire living room, all the way to the fireplace, all the way to the back door. And they're just everywhere. It was right before our Forks trip. It was horrible. I had to leave the house with like 16 ant traps open and ants just like everywhere.
I think Christine is forgetting that we talk about these stories on Fangirl Tea Time, so they might be a little rehashed. But you guys,
the
this
thing
is
is
what
though, not everybody is in Fangirl Tea Time, and this was like a really big part of my year.
No, I know. I'm just saying when you were like when you talked about the table and how you spilled your matcha on the table, I think only our patrons would know that story.
Oh,
yeah,
not the regular show, but I did say it. I did explain it now, right? So everyone will understand. Okay. Okay. Yeah, y'all patrons are gonna like have like our entire year. As I was putting down like these top moments. I was like, wow, patrons know like so much about these stories already. But hopefully we'll be giving like different POVs on some of them. Natasha, hit us with one of yours.
So this year was the first year that I went to Ren Fair. I have never been to a Renaissance Fair before. And I got to go to two. My first time I went on a sprained ankle after I killed my foot at the Queen Charlotte premiere. And I like had to bandage it all up and then I put it in a big boot. I'm like, I think I'm okay. Like, I'm going to go. The thing is, and I dressed up as like a Rapunzel Ren Fair girly, and I had so much fun. I went with my friend Heather and my friend Becca, and we saw a jousting tournament, and I had never seen one of those in real life before, so that was super fun. And the funny thing is, it's like it's an hour away from my house, but it's in a nice area. There's like a little lake. They have porta potties and then they have like one regular bathroom, but I definitely dehydrated myself and didn't pee the entire time. I think I was there for like 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah,
and that
it's
was
crazy
enough.
how much you hydrate. Sometimes I'll like pee 3 times before Natasha pees at all, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
I drink so much
and
water
hours.
though. I drink so much water, so I don't know.
Again, why aren't you peeing?
I have a bladder of steel.
Yeah, the Run Fair seems really cool, but it is far away, and it
Not
seems
as far
really,
for you.
Oh, yes, it is. I timed it. It's an hour.
Oh, yeah. So it's now for everyone. And then I went again with Alex, Taya, and Liam, and we went like much later in the day. And everything was like closed down, but we blasted Prince of Egypt in the car, and that was great.
All right. I'm not really doing these in any order anymore. My first 2 were like the very beginning of the year, and now they're kind of like all over the place. Okay. So I started my 4th book this year, and it has been just so much fun, and it felt like such a big accomplishment doing the outline for it because that's such a struggle for me. So I've been having the best time working on it, and I'm really proud of myself for like finishing the whole outline for it. And I love the story so much. I'm really hoping like next year, obviously hoping that I like will write the entire book, but right now it's with my agent, and we've been just like smoothing and perfecting the first act. And I just I love it so much, and I will take breaks from it, and then I'll like remember how much fun I have with it when I like get to tell someone else about it. And I have this like really distinct memory of being in Miami for Jenna's bachelorette, and I was sharing a room with my best friend from New Jersey, Christina, and she was like, "Oh, what's it about?" And I ended up like basically like putting on a play for her in the front of the room, like telling her the entire story. And like I was just so animated and excited, and like that's just such a good sign for me that I love it so much still after like reading through it and editing it so many times. Like every time I tell a new person about it, I get so excited to tell the story. My friend from college, Allison, we were texting, and she was like, "Oh, what's your new book about?" And I just like ended up texting her like 4 essays about the whole story. And then I was like, maybe I should stop spoiling the entire book for you. I'm just really excited. And I do it without even thinking. So I'm just like, I'm really excited to be writing like adult, and having a 30-year-old lead has been so much fun because I'm so close to that age right now. It's like, it feels a lot like when I wrote Again But Better, where I was like, I still felt pretty fresh on it. I started writing it when I was 25, and it's about a 20-year-old, and I've been writing this as a 32-year-old about this woman who is like going through all like the stuff that happens when you turn 30, and it's been a ball. Like, it's so weird to like capture one memory. I just had so much fun writing this year. I loved also like doing all the stuff for book 3, and it's like such an isolating experience, but like for me, I'm like with all my little characters. So like, I'm like in my little mind palace with all my make-believe people, and I had the best time. So that was a joy this year. Yeah. What about you? I told you a lot about the book this year too. It was fun.
Yes, lots of, and yeah, that was really fun. At the beginning of this year, I went to the Harry Styles concert.
Oh
Yeah, it was such
yeah. You
a
got
fun.
COVID.
Yeah, I got COVID from the Harry Styles concert. But the day before, I remember I was at Disneyland, and my friend Taya and Francis texted, and they were like, "Natasha, do you want to go to the Harry Styles concert? There's floor tickets for this much. What are your thoughts? It's in Palm Springs." And I'm like, "I'm down. Let's go." because obviously we had been seeing all last year all of these amazing videos of Harry Styles on TikTok, and I at that point didn't know Harry's music very well, and I was like, oh sure, no, let's go. I think I knew like 5 of his songs, but I drove them all out to Palm Springs, and it's about like a 3-hour drive from here in OC. And we left. I remember, I think we recorded a podcast that morning, and then we left right after. And we got there, and we had dinner with our friends Courtney in Paris. She's calling me Courtney, so it was really fun because they have a house out there. And then we got to the concert, and it was one of the like most fun experiences because the venue was really it's not small, but it's not like a stadium. And the floor, because Harry's stage was in the center, you could walk around the entire floor like a donut. And so like the girlies who love Harry like knew where he was going to be for each like set. And so like it would be would be like a migration of girls around the stage. But Taya and Francis had already been. So like they're just like stay in this section, and we just had so much fun. We had so much space to dance and walk around. Obviously, it was not great for my health because I did get COVID afterwards. But it was just so fun because it was just so last minute and a spur of the moment type of thing. And then afterwards I became obsessed with Harry's music, and I know every single song now by heart. So that was nice. A really, really good time.
Nice. All right. This has been, for the next one on my list is not like, I have like top moments that like stand out to me, not necessarily like the best moments, but this was such a huge thing in my head because I don't usually do stuff like this. Like, I've had a really anxious year. I didn't go to therapy this year because I was trying to save money, and my therapist was way too expensive, and I didn't get to go through the whole process of finding a new one. It's really hard to find a new therapist, especially after going to the same one for like 3 years. And you have to find a new one just because they're not in network, so it's really it's just difficult starting again. So anyway, I have to do that in the new year. That's one of my things, like find a therapist that's in network, so I'm not paying $200 every session. So it's been an anxious year. And I had lots of writing deadlines, and I had 2 people that I have maid of honoring stuff on my mind all year. That's happening while I'm on these like writing deadlines. And when I'm on a writing deadline, I'm just like in a bubble of my own little world. And we had to order our bridesmaids dresses. The patrons know this story. We had to order our bridesmaids dresses at a certain time because it takes like 11 weeks or 13 weeks or some shit. And I ordered my dress, told everyone I ordered it, and come a month and like 2 weeks before the wedding, I'm at like it was like the morning I was like going to Natasha's to make the Taylor Swift, help her like map out the Taylor Swift outfit that she made me. And I realized that I don't have my dress, and it's been months since I ordered it. And I was just delusional, and I never added it to my cart. I mean, I never checked out. I added it to the cart, and I never bought the dress. And so like, I wasn't going to get any dress in time for that wedding, for where I was supposed to be the maid of honor. And I had to call the company and just see what they had in my size laying around that they could send me. And they only had 2, and they were both so ugly on me. Like, they just were not for my body type at all. Not good. I had to pay another $180 after paying like $175 for the not good dress to get it altered. And it's just something that haunts me. Like, how the fuck did I literally delude myself? My mom would talk to me every week, and she'd be like, "Did your dress come yet?" And she'd be like, "Are you sure you ordered it?" And I'm like, "Yes, Mom, I ordered the dress."
Lo and behold.
What do you think I am? Oh my God. So anyway, I hate the dress still on me, even with the alterations. Like the way it looks in pictures, I just don't like it. And I just really don't ever want that to happen again. I already bought the dress for Olivia's wedding, so that this would not happen.
Did that dress fit okay, the Olivia dress?
It fit great. I love it. Yeah. It's an off the shoulder. Like I really like the asymmetrical dresses, and it's like fitted, and it fits really well. I'm really happy with it. I bought it because Gabby bought the wrong color. Oh no. I didn't notice till the day before. Oh shit.
Did you dye it?
I guess there was
What
nothing you could
happened?
do at that point. I'm assuming. How wrong was it? How wrong was the color? For Olivia's, she's doing 2 different colors, ivory and gold. So I had to order a gold dress, and they only have so many designs in gold, and they dropped this asymmetrical design randomly, and I was like, I gotta buy it right now because that's gonna disappear, and that's the one I need. So that's why I have my dress over a year ahead of time.
It was so close that the bride didn't even notice when I sent her a picture.
Oh.
It was a softer purple than the one she had chosen, so it wasn't a complete disaster.
Oh my gosh. Good.
Thank God.
Melissa says we had one in the bridal party I was in that did the same thing, even though the store had the color on file. Oh.
Oh. Wow.
Sad
I didn't
times.
know that could
It's
happen.
Stressful. All right. Yeah. Bridesmaid stuff. It's just really stressful. Olivia's bachelorette is coming up, and thank God one of her friends loves planning, because I'm terrible at like planning for big groups because I get so anxious about like annoying people with the activities I choose. So she's been helping me with that, and it's been really great, but it's coming up. It's coming up in February. What's next on your list, Natasha?
Okay, so at the beginning of the year, well, technically it was last year, I was hired by Disney to make a dress, or it wasn't so much as make a dress. I was hired to do a whole like video for the Disney 100 where I style outfits for different attractions at the parks, at Disneyland specifically. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make a dress. Like, I'm going to showcase my skills and make a whole dress. And so this video really was the it determined my entire first half of the year, because I was supposed to film it in January, and then that never happened, and then it got pushed to February, and then it finally happened at the end of February, I think. I don't remember. And so I really wanted to go to Disney World in January, but I didn't end up doing that because I was working for the Maas. And then I made this dress, which is actually, I don't know if it was my favorite dress this year. It's so beautiful and I love it. And not a lot of people have seen it because I've only been able to make like one video, because I'm like, okay, well, if I make this dress, then I can get footage and take like wonderful photos, and then also help support the video, because the video was going to go on the Disney Instagram. So I was like all for this. I wasn't getting paid a lot, but I knew like this would probably end up helping me in the interim. And it was like, I felt like it was quite an honor. And so made the dress. It took me a long time. It was the first time I made a dress with like booby cups. And I don't know, remember if you remember, Christine, us being on the phone. Yeah. I'm just like 2 days of trying to
so much discussion about the booby cups.
And I'm just like trying to figure this out. and I make my own patterns. So, and I made it for this like one specific bra. It worked out, but it was rough because I also wanted to keep in the underwires. Anyways, okay. Made the dress. We filmed the video in February, and then they tell me that I'm not allowed to share anything filmed at Disneyland because it's not filmed during the day and I'm filming it with a team of people. And then, also I get told that I'm not allowed to have anyone with me in the parks. It's only just myself and then the social team who's filming with me. And I was very anxious about that because I had a very specific vision and usually like to work with one of my friends who knows what I like. Usually that's like Kayla, or even Alex. And so I was nervous about that, but we filmed it and it all turned out really good. I was just very, very frustrated with not being able to share anything, but I knew I was going to be able to share like the making of the dress. So then it comes time to edit the video. I have never experienced anything like this before in my life. I had to go through around 7 to 8 rounds of edits. And even before
That's like
that,
unacceptable too.
I was just like, I was going mad. I was legit going mad. Not even before that, I had to send in an entire shot list of how the video was going to be shot, and then also get the commentary approved. So I had all of this approval, and I made the video.
Your voiceover commentary.
Yeah, my voiceover. And I made the video, and then it was exactly how that was approved. But then they kept finding things and telling me to take that out, make it shorter. Like it was at like a minute 30 and they're like, can we get it down to like a minute? And then it was, can we get it down to 30 seconds? And it was my living nightmare, and I'm glad the video's done. And then I find out that the video doesn't even get to go on Disney Parks, which is like their #1 TikTok video. It goes to, I think, just the Disney TikTok, which is not their #1 platform. Yeah, so I was a bit disappointed, but it's fine.
That saga like never ended. You're like every week you're like, I got another edit.
Yeah, and I didn't get paid until like this summer.
I was like, ever? Oh my God. All right.
Yeah.
That was a doozy. Well, this one for me was a really happy moment. I was working on, I was doing a writing vlog when I got an email with the first drafts of the cover of Attached at the Hip, my new book. And it was just like so exciting because the covers looked so different and so like in the vein of what I had pitched. I got so excited, and it's always like such a rush, and then you can't really share any of the things publicly. So I like texted the 2 drafts to like everyone I know, like my friends. I'm like, which one do you like better? Which one do you like better? Which one do you like better? And then give like a paragraph of thoughts. I just find that so fun. It's so fun crafting the cover, with like working on the cover as a team. Like I'm so blessed to have a publishing company that like sends me the drafts and asks me what I want on the cover and like asks me my opinions and takes my opinions into into consideration and all that stuff. And I just had so much fun with this cover, and then like trying to figure out the fonts. Like I went on my computer and like edited the cover because one of the fonts just felt too busy. So I like tried every single font and then sent pictures of every single like option to like Natasha and like Kat and Jessie and like all my other friends. It was a really fun, exciting day. And I'm really happy with how the cover came out. They used the font that I sent over.
They did.
Yeah, it was It was a whole back and forth. Every time I go back and forth, I write like an entire little essay about my thoughts. And I'm always like, am I being obnoxious? But like, it's really important. Like, the cover is so important to the life of the book. So I always am just like, it's better to just say all of the thoughts.
Yeah. I can't remember the original version of it, but what we settled on was really, really good.
Yeah. The original version had the one that we ended up picking, had like more of a like thriller masculine color scheme, and we ended up like changing the color scheme to make it look more like a rom-com. Yeah. And the other option was really pretty, but it was more of like a passive shot on the cover. Like it was like a beach and the ocean from a side perspective instead of looking straight on at the people on the cover, like through the bushes. And I really liked that because it does it's being filmed, like they're on a reality show, and it kind of looks like there's a camera looking through the bushes at them. And I really liked that framing and how it drew your eye so quickly to the fire. Yeah.
Would you be able to post them like for our patrons to see?
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely. And I think I can probably eventually do some content about them, as we get closer to the book release, but I can post them for the patrons now so you guys can see. Get your thoughts. Please share your thoughts in the patron comments. I want to hear all the thoughts always. All right, Natasha, what's next for you?
I got to go to so many premieres this year. I'm always so thankful. I'm going to share my favorite premiere for last, though. There's 3 premieres on here. Okay. So I got to go to the Queen Charlotte premiere. My friend Heather took me, and obviously I'm a huge fan of Bridgerton and all period dramas, historical period dramas. Those are my absolute favorite. And going to a premiere where it has obviously like what is the word? Vocacious audience, a vivacious audience.
Vivacious is more vocacious. I don't think that's the right word.
Was such a treat. So obviously watching the first episode with everyone was so freaking fun, and hearing everyone's reactions to things happening within the first episode it felt like a community, because obviously we watch them at home by ourselves usually, and I rewatch those shows over and over and over again. But also Heather and I wore like almost matching purple, like lilac lavender dresses. So I got to wear the Disney 100 dress because obviously it didn't get its time to shine. And so I wore that dress I wore it to the carpet. And then I lent Heather another one of my like big purple gowns, and they were basically like the same Pantone. And beforehand I was like, oh my gosh, Heather, we have to do the White Christmas sister dance, even though those girls are in like a blue lace get up. We're still gonna be matching, and it's still gonna be cute. So we learned like the whole little dance and the whole number, and we filmed it, and it was probably one of my like favorite little things I got to film this year, because it was just so I've always wanted to do something like that. I want to make those blue gowns at some point. But that was super fun that we got to do that together. And then obviously the premiere was just incredible and amazing. And we got to go to the after party, and it was really before I knew the new cast, but they were around us and they were just so beautiful, and everything that they were wearing was so incredible. But that is where I unfortunately sprained my ankle, and it took me out. Usually on these carpets, they're on like streets, like in Hollywood. And so this was specifically in Westwood near UCLA. It's at like the Bruins Theater, and it's on the street, and there's just a carpet on asphalt, and there's like all the divots, like they don't put any padding or anything, so like you have no idea where your foot is going to land. And unfortunately my right foot landed in like a hole, and I almost went down. I almost fell in front of the like 12-string quartet that was playing as we were walking on to the carpet. And I was talking to this one other influencer, and I had just met her, but she's so petite and tiny, and here I am, like this 6 foot tall woman in heels. And I was saying, I'm like, oh, your hair's so beautiful, and then my ankle went up, went down, and I grabbed onto her. And I'm like, oh my God, I almost fell. And then she grabbed onto me, and she was mighty. But I didn't feel anything. I walked on it. And then as I was like sitting in the theater after the episode had ended and we were like watching the Q&A, my ankle was throbbing. It was very, very painful. So anyways, lovely time. I had a wonderful time at the Queen Charlotte premiere, and it was one of my favorite shows this year.
Nice. Yeah, it was a good one. All right. The next one I have on the list was a moment where a game that we were playing at Natasha's birthday this past year. We went back to her house and like played games and stuff. And we played this Blockbuster game. I don't know if anyone's played it before. I played it with my family, but it wasn't as intense because not everyone knows movies. You have to play it with people who like watch movies and are in the pop culture zeitgeist. So I was on a team with like Natasha, Taya, and Heather, and we were like versing the rest of the party, and we just slayed. we got all of it's kind of like charades, but you have to do it in like there's a bunch of movies and you have to describe them in like certain ways. Like some you can't use some you have to use like a movement, some you have to like say like 3 words, and like
it's
one you have to do.
So you
one word.
Yeah. So it's one word. You have to describe a movie in one word. So like if you had Iron Man, you could say Stark. And then the next one is say a line from the movie, and you can also hum. So if like say if you have a musical, like Sound of Music, you could hum one of the songs. And then the other one is acted out. And then if you get all 3,
so for
you
the
can
acted, the last, if you get whatever, all the cards, and you need a certain amount of cards to win. But I feel like the last one I was doing, it was The Great Gatsby, and I was like, it was movement, and I was trying to do that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio where he's doing that like weird like tornado dance. And everyone was guessing everything except for The Great Gatsby. And then I think Liam was like, that's in Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes, it is. The Great Gatsby one is when he like cheers to the camera. He's like,
yeah, well, he has parties, so I just like got confused in my head thinking that party was from A Great Gatsby party.
Christine
was
was
like, how are you not getting this? I'm doing the move.
Christine was so worried because she's like, am I too competitive? Are people thinking I'm too competitive? I don't know. But honestly, like Taya got really into it too. We were like screaming. I don't remember what it was, but like I think she tried to, she was the one giving the clues, and then you and I ended up getting them, and it was like some dumb thing. We both got it. We're like, what?
Yeah, we got them really fast, but then we like rotated through who was doing the acting out. But I was not concerned so much about that game. It was the game we played, like Who Knows Natasha Best, where I was like a psychopath, and I don't know when people got something slightly wrong and it was like considered right. I feel like I had commentary. I feel like I was so obnoxious and loud. But I did win that.
That was
team.
a very the Jeopardy game, which I'm like, this is gonna be so fun for me to see all my friends battle. I definitely didn't make it very fair because I knew you were gonna get most of them, and then I was getting so stressed out because Abby, my like childhood friend, she's like, I don't know this, and she was trying to to battle me on like, she's like, you love this person when you were that age. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, because there was one that was wrong, and Abby and I both agreed.
Yeah. It was the Twilight one. It was, who is my favorite Twilight character? And I said Alice Cullen. But
yeah, Emmett.
Emmett was my favorite when I was that age, when I was younger.
And we were both like, this is incorrect.
And then my aunt didn't
Abby
remember.
And I were on different teams.
Yeah. Well, because we couldn't have you guys together because then you would just win.
Because a lot of your friends are newer friends. And we've been around for a long time.
Yep. Tessa was pretty good. She knew a lot of stuff.
She was. She got all the fandom stuff. She was on my team.
Should have separated you two.
I drafted her. I was a team captain. I was like, Tessa.
My aunt she should have got the baby ones, but she was like, the question was, who was born first, Alex or Natasha?
You.
And she didn't get it right.
Then I stole it. All right. That was mine. Okay. What's next, Natasha?
I'm gonna talk about this one so you can talk about it too. So this year Christina and I went up to Idaho, Boise, for one of her tour stops, and it was so fun because if you guys don't know, my cousins Miley and Sailor, so in my family was my mom was the oldest, and then the middle child was Craig, and then the youngest was my Aunt Cindy. And Craig has two girls who are close in age to us, and we all grew up together, so we're very sibling-like. And then Sailor has a little boy, Bodie, who is my nephew. And so we try to spend a lot of time with them. So we go back and forth probably about 2 to 4. We go up there about twice a year, and then they come down here about 3 times a year, 4 times a year. And so it was super fun because Christine was like, well, why don't you tell the whole thing about the Barnes & Noble, Idaho in Boise?
Oh, yeah. So when for the paperback release of Better Together, my publishing company was like, we can send you on like a mini tour. We can do an event in LA and an event somewhere else. And like, where would you want to do one? And Boise, Barnes & Noble had tagged me in this like end cap to an aisle that was like Poland Bananas books themed, and it had like all my favorite books, and it had Better Together and Again But Better, and it was so sweet and so cute. And I was like, I would love to go to this Barnes and Noble. Like, and Boise is like an area I haven't been to before, obviously. Like, they don't usually typically send you to Boise, Idaho. And we got there and just had the best experience. Everyone who worked there was so sweet. And
so sweet.
One of the young women who worked there had been watching my videos for a very long time, and she had like a very heartfelt story that was like just like so sweet. And it was just such a good event. There were so many people there that I had been watching for a long time that I got to meet, and I had the best time talking to everybody. And they had so many copies of Better Together all over the store. It was like magical walking in there. But yeah, when we got there, we went to Natasha's cousin's house and hung out with her cousins and the baby. And then we had dinner with them later. You could talk now.
Yeah. So, we had just seen them, I think, in February when we did this tour stop in April. And Christine told me about the Barnes Noble. And I told Sailor and Miley, I'm like, we have to go. I want to see if it's like still up. And so we all went to the Boise Barnes Noble and we found the end cap with Christine. It was so fun. We're like, oh my gosh, that's our friend. And then we all put pictures and sent them to you and posted them.
It was so nice.
Yeah. And so when Christine asked me to go up, I'm like, yeah, of course I'll go up. Like, I would love to see my family. So you, I think, only stayed for like 2 nights because it was like an in and out type of thing. I ended up staying, I think, for a couple extra days. And my cousins had just moved into a house. But it was so nice to get everyone together. And I think Christine is probably the friend that has hung out with my family the most. I don't know. And we got to go to Texas Roadhouse, which is my favorite, and eat barbecue. Also, my uncle was there too, right? Oh yeah, because they had just moved.
Yep. Craig, yeah.
And then one of the days, Bodie stayed home sick because he usually goes to like a daycare because both the girls work, and it was so warm that day we had the tour stop, and then all of a sudden I woke up and it was snowing, and it was so magical, and like Bodie and I just like hung out all day together. My aunt came over, Miley and Taylor's mom, and it was snowing all day, and we were just like in our cozies. We made like mashed potatoes, and I made a whole like dinner for my cousin Miley because it was her birthday coming up. And it was a lovely time, and I'm so glad I had that time with them without Alex too. Not that, I don't love him, but it was fun just to be by myself with them. It's a good moment.
To have your like individual bonding time, because
yeah, and I'm never in a place.
Bodie loves Alex, so you don't probably get to like hang out with Bodie individually as much.
No, I don't. Right? Yeah. Bodie loves Alex. Also, I never really get to wake up in a place where it starts to snow. So that was magical.
Oh, yeah. Nice. All right. The next one I have here on my list is the Speak Now TV drop when the music video for I Can See You dropped. And I happened to be at my neighbor Cynthia's house when that music video dropped. And I was like, we were watching a movie with my other neighbor. There were like 3 of us there. And I made everyone stop watching the movie and pulled out my laptop because I knew I was going to need it for this video and watch the music video for I Can See You. And I lost my mind when Taylor Lautner dropped out of the ceiling into the video. Like, no one there cared as much as I did. Like, Cynthia loves Taylor Swift, but like not to the extent that I love Taylor Swift and Taylor Lautner and Twilight, Yeah. So I like was squealing and yelling and saying all these different things. And then I was like incessantly texting Natasha to watch it right now before she gets spoiled. Because it was so fun.
I'm so glad you told me to, because Tay and I were just like, working away on our Barbie dresses that night.
Yeah. It was just for fans of Taylor who've been around since like Taylor Lautner. That was just like the best thing. What a great Easter egg. Like I can't. She just knows who to bring in to really like get everyone excited to see her like being friends with an ex, and with the ex that she's written a song about, saying that she was sorry, and whose wife is Taylor too, and she loves Taylor Swift, and there was 3 of them, and they took that Spider-Man picture where they're all 3 pointing at each other. Like, what a great time for Taylor Swift fans this year.
Yeah, truly. No, it's just like the lore of Taylor is so good.
Yes,
like it all came true.
Yes,
it was like the MCU.
Yes, and I like couldn't get over. She's better at than the MCU is at keeping continuity with her storylines here. Like,
very true.
I couldn't get over the whole thing with like Taylor Lautner getting to have his like full circle redemption moment with, because he presented the award to Taylor at the music video awards back in like 2010, I think it was 2009, whatever the year was, with Kanye got in front of her and was like, I'm gonna let you finish. He presented the award, and he's talked about in the past how he has so much regret about not like getting up there and saying something, or like helping Taylor get the microphone back, or like just doing anything. Like he didn't even comment on it or say anything to her because he thought it was a bit that he just didn't know about. And then afterward, when he saw her face, he realized it wasn't, and he felt so bad. And he did SNL a little while later and talked about how he really regretted not being able to do anything, but like in a comedic way. And he did this like cool karate thing with the stick twirling that he does in the SNL skit. And he did that exact routine, like a little altered for the music video, but side by side, it's the same routine. And it just, my heart, like watching that, like knowing that he did the same thing, like he got to live it out in the music video. It was just like such a healing thing for all of them, I feel like.
No,
to work together like that.
Yeah.
It was great. What a great time.
It was really fun because we were really.
I'm a big enough fan that this is one of. What?
You're big enough fan that this is one of.
That this is one of my top moments of the year.
Well, we were really spoiled because we thought something was going to happen for 1989, and then it didn't.
You mean during the Speak Now?
No, like in the same way that Taylor came back, we were like, oh, Harry Styles is going to have a song with Taylor for 1989.
Oh, we were hoping, but like I didn't have high hopes for that one. It's not the same as Taylor Lautner, who's like married.
Yeah. Yes.
And like very open about his life on his podcast and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's why too.
All right.
These men in their podcast, they're able to get to Taylor. So, I mean, if we keep talking about her, maybe we'll get into her life.
We have to date her.
Okay. Okay, guys, this year I went to my first fashion show, and this was a Selkie fashion show for their fall collection. And it was their Lucy collection. It was like a vampire collection. And it was the coolest thing ever. I felt so grateful to be there. And Selkie is it's my like favorite brand right now, as far as like to wear. And you can get 10% off your order if you use my code Tasha Polis.
It's in the show notes.
Yes. No, okay, but this was so cool because they had it at like a historical landmark in LA, and I took my friend Natalie with me, who is also like a big Selkie girly, and it wasn't like a normal show. So they had this like showcase where they had these historical like Victorian style homes open, and all of these models were vampires. And then they hired 2 male models or actors to be like they're like the main ones who made all of these vampire wives. And so they had these homes open, and then all of these models inside wearing the new collection and the modeling, and we could walk through the house and see as these models like did not break character, by the way, as they like prowled around and like hissed at us. And it was a very exciting and quite like dramatic thing to be a part of. And we could take videos and pictures with like these vampire husbands, and they were quite into it. And I went over there and I like took a video with them, and I could not rewatch it for the longest time, but I did end up editing it and putting it up live, because basically what happened is I got in between them, and then one like spinned me around and then like ducked me, and then like went to go like bite my neck, and it was very sensual, and I was like, ooh. And then so they had the 2 houses open, and then we walked down the way, so it's like this like grassy knoll, and there's all these like Victorian houses. There's probably about like 8, and then there's a church at the end. And so we walk down and they have all these pews outside, and so we sit down on the pews, and then they do the like real fashion show. But all the models that were in the house got rechanged into something else and then walked. I think there were about like 30 models, 40 models. It was quite the production. And they had just really great music playing. They had like the Romeo and Juliet opera music, and it was like the vibes were it. It was incredible, and I was so happy to be a part of it. Yeah.
It was giving Vampire Diaries when they all live in the same house together, all those like ancient ones that escaped the tomb.
Yeah, no, it was very much like those vibes. But they only served us alcohol that day, and so we were a little bit dizzy. I remember Natalie having to sit down on the curb, and we drove home, and we were going to go out to dinner, but then Natalie and I talked ourselves into just getting McDonald's and going home and sitting in our cozies and watching a movie, and that was also lovely as well. So it was a wonderful day.
Sounds nice.
Yeah.
My next one is definitely a story I told on Tea Time, but I'm just going to talk about it a little differently here. But I was the maid of honor for my best friend growing up, Jenna, this year. And that means doing the maid of honor speech. And I've talked about many times how I have social anxiety. But I was obviously going to do the speech and I wanted to be good. The thing is, like, nobody understands that I have social anxiety that like knows me around her, you know, like they don't get it because I do videos and I do all this stuff, and it's like, how can you have social anxiety and do it? And it's like, I just do it anyway, but I am dying inside. Like, it's draining the fuck out of me. Like, I'm sweating and you know, having all these anxiety symptoms, but I'm doing it anyway. And like after the speech, someone went up to my mom in the bathroom and was like, it's so crazy, she doesn't get nervous at all, like she did such a good job. And I'm like, my mom was like, she was nervous. She hasn't slept for 2 days. Like, so anyway, I just wanted to deliver a really nice speech for my oldest friend, you know, and I want it to be something that she really enjoys and remembers and feels seen by. And I did it. So I was maid of honor for my best friend from college, Katie, and like the speech was good, but like I didn't deliver it exactly the way I wanted it to. Like there was a joke that I set up and never came back around, and it still haunts me because I'm like, I didn't like I didn't finish it the way I wanted it to, and so I didn't want that to happen again at this wedding and have this like haunting thing. So obviously, like I said, I didn't sleep leading up to it. Jenna slept like a baby the night before her wedding, and she had me in the same hotel room as her, and I was just laying there awake all night.
Can we talk about how the fact that Jenna, a dermatologist, went to bed without fucking taking her makeup off? Well, I think she took it off with like a makeup wipe, right?
No, she took it off with just water. Water.
The night before your wedding, you don't do your whole skincare routine? I don't understand this.
She's like very much set in her ways of like doing her stuff in the morning. So she'll like do her skincare in the morning, her shower in the morning, like, and because before we went to bed, because I was sharing a bed with her, because the night before you're not, you know, she did the thing where like you don't see your husband the night before at the wedding, and she was like, do I have to take a shower? Because sometimes I make her take a shower before sharing a bed. Because I'm a germaphobe. And I was like, it's your wedding. You don't have to shower if you don't want to. She was like, really? Because like the other time she had been on a plane. Like a lot of times it's like gross stuff that I'm like, get that off of you. But you know, she was just like at her rehearsal dinner. So I let that slide. And also it's her wedding. But anyway, yeah. I had to go out to a Dwayne Reed to get all the stuff for my end of the night routine for my face because I forgot it all in my anxiety about the speech. And she just went right to bed with nothing because it's just baffling. Anyway, but the day of, I had a whole plan. Like I went with a whole game plan this time to get past my anxiety and do it the way I wanted it to do it. And I'm not reading off of anything. Like I can't do that. I'm off book. Every time I did the speech, I was off book. Like I did it for Natasha a couple times over like FaceTime. I did it for my family the night before the night before the rehearsal dinner twice. I then did it for my friend Christina at the rehearsal dinner outside. Like I had it down by the time it was time to do it. But the morning of, I was like, okay, we're going to do a music video this morning for TikTok. And that is going to take all of my concentration. So I can't harp on this. And so I planned out that whole Bring It On. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, but I had this Bring It On TikTok that I was planning to do with all the bridesmaids. And I like planned it all out. And I spent the whole morning doing that while they were all getting ready. And it worked. It really works. Redirecting your attention to something else the day that you're supposed to do something anxiety ridden, that's a hack that I'm going to use again. And then another hack right beforehand, I was waiting to go and I had 2 speeches before me. And my friend got me like a glass of water because I was like clearly dying. And as it was my turn to go up there, I take a sip of this water and spill it all over my dress and chair. So I go up there with literally, I'm wearing a champagne colored dress. So the whole thing, you could just see the splash of the whole water all down my entire fucking dress. I go up there before they even announce me. And the DJ is like, are you Christine? And I was like, yes, I'm here. I know it's my turn. And he's like, do you want to stand behind Jenna so that they don't see your dress? It was covered in water. And I was like, no, I want to be able to make eye contact with Jenna and her husband, Kyle. So anyway, what I did was out loud acknowledge what I was afraid of happening. And that's another hack. Like, I out loud said that, like, before I started, I was like, I spilled a whole glass of water on myself coming up here. Lol. I'm going to try to get through this without crying or talking at the speed of light. And then I was able to. And I'm going to use that hack from now on, too. Just say your fears out loud. Just be honest. And then you're free from them because everyone knows it. It's not a secret you're holding in. Mm-hmm. And I delivered the whole speech with just one slip up when I tried to make a Spice Girls joke about, if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. I said, it's like the Spice Girls always say, if you want to be a lover, get with my friends. That's the only trip up. I said it completely wrong. But I just kept going. And it was 12 minutes. 12 minutes because I did it at a normal human speed instead of light speed where it was 9 minutes. So anyway, I did it. I was really happy. Jenna and Kyle really liked it. When I talked about Kyle, like his whole side of the room like erupted in cheers and stuff and like laughed and it was great. So I felt really good that I did it and she had her like speech moment. Good. Because there's so much pressure. Like how many times do you get a speech for you in your life? Not many times.
Not many. Yeah.
No. And Olivia had the nerve to say after I did the speech for my family, like, does Jenna know that your speech is 10 minutes long?
Oh, Lord.
And I was like, you best prepare for your own fucking 10-minute speech. You get this once in your lifetime. All right? Tell your band.
I think
she was like, because you budget for time. And I was like, yeah, you better budget for my time because you're getting a 10-minute speech.
Oh, Lordy. Yeah, I think I remember Heather remarking on the fact that my speech was like 12 minutes as well. But I'm like, you're like, they used my speech. I was the commentary for your wedding video because no one else gave a good speech. It was me only.
That's the thing. Like a lot of times sometimes people give a great speech and that's like, you remember it. But like a lot of times people give like these really quick speeches and they're nervous and they're not able to use it in that way. It was really beautiful what they did with your speech. It's like the voiceover in a movie.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Okay. I don't know if I'm ever going to do a maid of honor speech again, which is fine by me because honestly, I couldn't eat all day. It was terrible.
I managed to hold down a little bit of a turkey sandwich. I was really proud of myself.
Yeah. I was very like focused on Heather that whole day, but then once like the ceremony was over, I was like, okay, I don't want to bring back those emotions again. I can feel them brewing. Okay. I'll go with this one. So this one just happened. But I produced and directed my own photo shoot, which was the Phantom of the Opera photo shoot. And I'm very proud of myself. I had a lot of fears going into this because I knew I wanted to be Christine Daae, but I knew I also wanted a phantom. And I definitely talked about this on, oh, thank you, Elizabeth. She said, I love that photo shoot. We talked about this on Tea Time that it was like a couple of weeks. I was like, I don't know if I should ask this guy. And then you guys were all there for it. So I ended up asking my friend Jennings to be Phantom. And, I just like kind of went for it. And I don't know why I was so nervous, but, he was really great. He ended up making it work because his schedule was kind of busy that day. But he wanted to do the shoot and I was so happy that he did. And usually when I do these big shoots, I hire my friend Danielle to photograph it, and we do it down at her house, which is what Christine and I did for like our big podcast photo shoot. But she's all the way down in San Diego, so she's really far down. So I ended up asking my friend Kayla if we could set up like a set in her house because I was thinking, you know, I would just put up like these black curtains down in her living room, and she has a nice fireplace, and getting like a bunch of candelabras and using a fog machine. It was quite the production. I really just have to like say a big thank you to Kayla because she was so helpful. Like I came the night before and her and her husband cleaned their whole house, and like that was such a loving gesture from the both of them. And then Kayla also photographed the whole thing, and she's so wonderful. Like she does my hair, she does it all. Okay. I seem to manage to pick up friends who are very creative and good at what they do. And crafty, no matter if it's with words like Christine or with their hands like Kayla. And
she's an aesthetic queen.
She is an aesthetic queen. I trust her. But obviously I made the whole Phantom of the Opera like dress for myself. And I had always wanted to do Christine Daae because that's how my parents fell in love. Is they watched Phantom of the Opera, I think on like their 5th date. And that's what at least they had told me. And, they like looked over at each other during one point and like held hands and kissed. And then from that point on, they used the song All I Ask of You, which is the song between Raoul and Christine, as their wedding song, their first dance song. And then obviously told my brother and I the entire story of Phantom of the Opera when we were young, and then took us to see the musical when we were about, I think, 7 or 8. And so I already knew all the songs because they had been playing them for us. It's like one of those things, you know, when your parents tell you those stories. And we were finally old enough. So anyways, it was an ode to them and like an ode to like that part of my family history. And it just came out so beautiful. It was such a fun shoot though, because I thought I was going to be very, very nervous doing like some of these like very intimate poses with a guy that I've never ever done before. But Jennings was so great at everything. The really funny thing is he did not break character. Like I would start like there was like one point where I had to sit on the ground and then he put his knee up and then I like tried to bend over behind him and I was in like a corset plus a bodice on top of that. So I'm like trying to arch my back. And so I'm like laying with my hand on my forehead and then Kayla's like, okay, now look at each other. And then I swing my head over and he's just like looking down at me and I'm like, oh my God, you're so close. I just start laughing and he didn't break and I'm like, come on. So he's quite the professional.
He's an actor.
An actor. And then we were using the fog machine upstairs and I just found this video. I need to post it. But I also had my friend Daniel play Raul and he was while we were taking photos with like, you know, Phantom and Christine, he was in charge of the fog machine and we had fogged up their bedroom pretty heavily and it turned on the fire alarm. And so it's like, oh my God, me, Raul and Phantom all trying to like fan the fire alarm and like
the
Jennings has
alarm.
Jennings has like his cape and then I have like my flower and I'm like yeah, so that was really fun. It was a great shoot and I'm like I feel so confident that I could do it again in whatever manner. I definitely want to do an ACOTAR shoot. I've already told Jennings I'm going to make him into Rysand. So yeah,
Nice.
good times.
Noise. All right. The next, we're getting down to it now, and maybe I save this one and I do this one.
Which one?
Another one on my list was the ceilings trend on TikTok that I did this year. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about. There was this trend to the song Ceilings where people would like strip and then have a dress underneath and be like running as they stripped and singing the song Ceilings. And I was I can't. What are the words again? It was my most listened to song like of the year, and I can't pull up the words right now in my head. Yeah.
You get up
Anyway,
to go.
so I.
Sorry, they're all coming back. And it's over.
And you
I'm
can't
in
see
your
me.
car. And I get up to go. And it's not real. Something like that.
Yeah. And then it gets it gets faster. That's when you start running. So anyway, I was like, this is the perfect trend to do for like the the Better Together paperback. And I was gonna have like I wore a dress under like a suit, and I had my book, the paperback, have like the hardcover cover on it, and I would like strip that too, like take off the cover, and then like I would strip holding the book and running and taking off pants and a top because it was like a suit jacket, and take out my hair. It was like a whole thing. But I was like, who's going to film this for me? Because Natasha lives so far away and she was like really busy at the time. And I have my neighbors, but I've never like crossed that line into like help me film something question mark. Like we hadn't crossed into that like version of friendship yet. And it really like broke down that boundary when I was like, hey, Cynthia, when you went running around with me in a park while I strip and filming it. And she was like, okay. And like I was talking about this kind of like in jest the day before to my other neighbor who was also so sweet, and she was like, I can do it if you want. And like I didn't know her as much at the time, and I was like, oh, don't worry about it, I'm gonna ask Cynthia. But it was like so sweet of her to offer too, you know. Anyway, so we went to this park and I did it like 11 times. And we only got it right the last like 3. But yeah, it was a whole experience, like stripping out of a suit in front of all these people while I like tried not to trip running backwards. And Yeah, it came out pretty decent for like the circumstances, and I had to leave Bellamy at home, and he just screamed the whole time. It was an hour, and my neighbors were calling me, being like, "You've been gone, like your dog's been screaming for 3 hours," and I was like, "I've only been gone for 40 minutes," so that's a lie. But on my way home. But what a day. I was like so exhausted after. You don't realize how much it takes it out of you running and stripping at the same time while trying to hold a book and direct a photo shoot. Because I kept telling her, like, I'm not going to run very fast, but you end up just moving faster than you think you're moving, and they have to track you with the camera. And I'd have to be like, okay, I'm going to move in a circle, so you just stay where you are and track. Like, I have to direct her, but I would do something different every time.
Yeah. I was going to say, because you did that for that one.
Yeah, should I just move on to the next one? Another one of my moments here is when I did this same sort of thing. It's been like a big trend on TikTok, like running while someone films you while you're singing. There was a Taylor Swift trend to August where like you sprint in a dress and then like throw yourself into the ocean. And so I did this on my birthday. I wanted to do it. We went to Manhattan Beach, and Tessa and Natasha was there, and I like, you know, was like, can somebody film it? Can someone sprint in the sand?
Did not volunteer because I knew she was gonna throw herself, and she's like, I'm not feeling, like, my pec hurts right now. I don't think I'm really gonna go that like deep into it. And I'm like, you did.
Once there's a camera in front of me, all bets are off. Like, I'm just going all out. And yeah, so Tessa was nice enough to film and run around, and I was like, I'm gonna go slow because she's like much tinier than me. So it's harder for her to run as fast, and I just end up sprinting without even realizing it. She's like having so much trouble keeping up. The video, I was so like, I felt so bad asking her to run with me into the water that I was like, didn't think during that one, and I wasn't running towards the sun. So I always have this regret that I wasn't like, I'm like running in the darkness in those videos. They could have been way better, but it was so freeing to. So I had this whole complex this year with like my obsession with The Summer I Turned Pretty. I've talked about this a lot. I feel like how it like how it brought up all these like nostalgia feelings, and I don't like the beach, and I haven't gone in the water for so long, and those feelings are really tied to like family stuff where there was like trauma and just bad experiences because of different things that were going on. And it was really fun to like reclaim the beach. Like I just like had such a great time playing in the water and like chucking myself in the waves, and just like being in a dress and not caring that I'm like soaking wet. It was a really great day. I had a really nice 33rd birthday celebration.
Yeah. It was really funny watching you guys run because Tessa was just like on her little feet.
I always regret, like, I'm like, why didn't you film it?
Me film it?
I want to see. Yeah.
Oh, I would have been done. I would have been mad because I would have been.
No, from far away, just from your point of view. It would have been funny.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember why.
Not doing the running, just doing like the sitting from where you were filming her filming it. I think it would have been funny.
Yeah, I don't remember. All right.
You're watching our stuff.
Okay. So this year I had a really big goal for myself that I wanted to maximize, or not maximize. I really wanted to like push myself to the next level. Because obviously I quit my job in 2021, and then 2022 was like trying to figure it out. I put a lot of effort into my business, live management. And then this year was like a break year because we had the strike. The economy was very, very different. There was not a lot of campaigns coming through for my clients. So honestly, I was able to focus more on myself and my content, which I didn't realize that I could do that this year, but honestly, the chips fell into place and I could. So, this year, very early on, because I had been, on Instagram, I had been like stuck at like 80,000 followers for a very, very, very long time. I think probably for like 3 or 4 years. And when everything was going down with TikTok, like where they were about to like shut down TikTok, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to put all my effort into Instagram. And that is when the algorithm started working for a lot of people. And so at the beginning of this year, I had one of my I've had a viral video happen before on TikTok, but never really on Instagram. And I made my Snow White outfit for the Disney Princess Night. And it was like a glitzy glamour version of Snow White. And I posted my how I made the dress video. And none of my videos had really popped off when I made those types of videos, because I remember specifically last year, I didn't film a lot of my dresses, like the making of, because I hadn't cracked how to make those videos and they didn't do very well for me. So I don't have footage of me like making my Meg gown, for instance, or making my Padme cosplay. And I kind of regret like not having those videos. And so I had made this video where I showed people how I made my Snow White dress. And I kind of just started really having like a ton of fun with voiceover and being sarcastic and just showing more of my personality, because I feel like I kind of just like went back into my shell and I forgot who I used to be on YouTube. And so I used my voice a lot. So I was very proud of that. But this video went very viral on Instagram. And I'd never seen this before ever in my life. I gained around 60,000 followers within like 2 to 3 weeks. And then
wild.
It was wild watching these numbers go up. And I had also, the next week, I had shared a 6-second clip of my Meg costume, which right after the Snow White, and then that also went viral as well. And so I had reached my goal of hitting 100K really, really quickly, but then I was like, oh, it's still going up. But honestly, the pinnacle of this moment was Rachel Zegler, Miss Snow White herself, commented on my Snow White video, and I was like, what? So that was so cool.
It's so much cooler now that we know her from the Hunger Games, because I didn't know her from anything.
Yes, I know. She's so amazing. I love her. And I was so honored to get a comment from her. I can't even remember what she said. Wait, I should probably pull it up. Hold on.
I can't remember either.
Oh, she all she commented was like 3 heart eyes emojis. But that's just still really cool. I was noticed by the queen herself. So anyways, that was such an exciting moment for me at the beginning of the year, and like having hit those goals that I wanted to hit for such a long time. And now I keep making those videos and they still all do very, very well. So very fun. Oh, and okay, so I was going to tell this story about my ankle story. So yes, the video went viral, but before that, when I actually wore the outfit to Princess Night, which was like a special ticketed event for Disney, so you could wear cosplays, I was wearing these like red velvet heels, and we had sat down to eat, and then after we got up, I was probably about like 5 or 6 inches taller than I usually am used to. We were waiting outside of Belle's Tavern in Fantasyland, and we were saddled up against one of these like little gates. And I had taken a step back, and there was no space to take a step back. And because I was taller, my calves hit the like wrought iron gate, and it was like just at the point where like my knees could buckle, because it didn't hit like at my thigh. And I went flying and spun into the flower bed in Disneyland, and I landed in these flowers on my back. Like, the breath got taken out. The breath got hit out of me.
Knocked out of you.
Knocked out of me. And my legs went flying. My skirt went up over my head. I was shocked. And honestly, I'm just so happy I didn't hurt myself any further. But a lot of people saw it. Someone even, I think I talked about it on that Snow White video, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, I saw that happen. Are you okay?" Yes, I was okay. Usually in those flower beds, they have like metal sprinklers, they have lights, but I didn't hit any of that. So I was very
You got lucky.
I got really lucky. And I just remember Kayla going like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And then Taylor, she's like, "Wow, you look so beautiful in that flower bed." Because I was just like laid down in my Snow White costume. And I was like, "Help me up." And I fell again that night.
Oh. All right. The next one is a big like clump of moments because I couldn't choose just one. And that is our Forks trip. Like, we had the most amazing trip to Forks together this year. We talked about it in detail on Tea Time, but I'm going to run through like some of the highlights because I had a book signing there and I had no idea how it was going to go. And it was so fun. And I met so many amazing, supportive people. And a lot of them like have read my book since and like messaged me and been so kind about like enjoying the books and stuff. And we just had the best time there. And then like we got these Cullen baseball jerseys and we had so much fun shopping at all the like the Forks shops. We had so much fun driving around to Olivia Rodrigo's guts. Hiking to Third Beach was like so beautiful. And the live podcast was such a fun like surreal moment that was just, it was just so fun to have an audience in front of us. It was so different. It's such a different vibe recording with like real humans in front of you listening.
Yeah.
And I feel like we learned so much so that next time like we'll be able to we had some technical difficulties, of course.
Of course.
Of course. But next time we'll be able to do it smoother because we had that experience that everyone was so nice and supportive there. Like, it was just like such a supportive, kind group of people that we were interacting with all weekend, and it made it so special and so fun. And then the last ball of the night, like the vampire prom, was like so magical. We unknowingly cosplayed, like Natasha was trying to be Bella in her blue dress and I was like just wearing a vampire-y black dress, but we were basically cosplaying as Damon and Elena from the Vampire Diaries. Like, we looked like them at that like Origins ball.
Yes.
And as the whole event was coming to a close, the last song they played was
1,000 Years by Christina Perri.
1,000 Years. Yeah. And yeah, we were with like the group of friends, and Natasha and I were like first dancing together, and then we danced as a group. It was just like a magical dancing moment with friends, and like it's hard to like even explain it, but we were all dancing together and doing all these fun things, and it was one of those moments where I like wish there was like a videographer following us around in our lives to tape everything. But it was just really, really nice. That night, we only have one clip of us on the dance floor, and it's like Natasha had put her camera on the floor, and we were like dancing to Pitbull, and I'm wearing a black dress. And I remember that night, like, I only had nude underwear left. Like, I didn't have black underwear left. I didn't have shorts. So I'm wearing like fucking nude underwear. And in this clip, you can see right up my dress. And it looks like I'm fucking naked
Oh
because
my
the
gosh,
underwear's
that's right.
nude. So I couldn't even post the one clip that we had of us dancing. But it was a beautiful time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, recording the episode was super fun. We had a lot of mishaps that morning because Christine, in her anxiety-inducing way, because she had the ants the night before, forgot the SD card for the main recording device for the podcast, and she tried to use her big 64 gig. I mean, you have to use a really, really small one. And then I formatted my like G7X and I gave her that one and it didn't work. So like literally, I want to say like 30 minutes before we had to go live, we were texting, like Amy and Melissa were like, do you guys have any like SD cards?
We need to be like
we asked
16
them-
gigs or less with the card.
Yeah. And then Amy's like, no, but in the Forks Outfitters, I did see them there. And Christine's like, okay, I'm going.
I sprinted.
Sprinted to the car.
Yeah, and I got in the car and like sprinted in the car down to the Forks one store, the Forks Outfitters. That is like the one-stop shop for everything in Forks because it's such a small town. It's like their version of like a Walmart. And I just sprinted in here. Amy knew what aisle and stuff, I feel like. Didn't she tell us the aisle? Like
She did.
exactly where it was. I sprinted down there and I was just into the store. And the guy was like, what do you need? I was like, memory cards. He was like, aisle this as I was running by. And then got it, sprinted back. And of course, like by the time we get back, we got there 2 hours early. And by the time I get back, it's like 5 minutes from we're supposed to go live. And there's not many parking spots. So I had to park further away and like run into the building. And everyone's like still online waiting outside of the room. Natasha hasn't let them in because we need to make sure that I have this memory card or else we can't record any of the podcasts. Like it wasn't going to go anywhere. It was all supposed to go on this card or else we would have had to like just record on our phones or something. I don't even know. But yeah, got in there just in time. We still had some technical difficulties, but we made it work and everyone was so kind and forgiving of all of our difficulties in the beginning, and Sam was there to help us film it. Like it was really, really fun and it worked out.
Yeah. I don't know if we just had a really, really good time in Forks and they just did a really great job, I think, putting everything together, and I want to go back. Again, I still have all my footage I need to edit and make into little vlogs, and no one has seen my Bella dress yet. So that's going to be going out probably the week of Christmas because I'm going to spend like this week and next week editing it all so I can start filing it out.
I'm excited.
Yes. But yeah, we had such a great time, and I don't know. I think those were my favorite parts. My favorite part was also dancing to 1,000 Years at the prom. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole room is just like singing and getting emotional because it's the last night and the last dance. And they did such a good job with like the parties too, like the themed parties. It was like baseball themed. That night we wore the baseball outfits and like the food was all baseball themed, and it was just like the decor was so cool. They did such a great job with it.
They did a really great job. Okay, next I'm going to talk about the Bobby premiere. No, I'm going to talk about the Taylor premiere. Because I feel like we're going to have two back-to-back. So we're going to talk about the Taylor premiere first. Okay. So this was such a special day.
We did an episode about it. Yeah.
We did. You guys have already heard it.
Yeah.
My favorite thing was I literally finagled to get literally all my friends into the premiere. I put on my manager cap and I was like, all of these people deserve to be there. They're such huge Swifties. So it was a magical experience to do that with everyone, because obviously we only got to go to the concert with just me and Christine, but we got to experience this day with Francis and Taya.
Well, Taya was at the concert
Tessa.
with us.
Tessa, I meant to say Tessa. And making my dress, because my Taylor Swift concert outfit, I loved it, but I didn't love it. And I think because I put up that at that point in time, I was putting a lot of my effort into, like, I wanted Christine's outfit to be perfect, and I was also making something for somebody else, which I think we'll talk about on tea time. And I was at my wit's end. My family was coming in town. I didn't have the time to put into the dress as I wanted to. But I made my Taylor Swift premiere day outfit, which was her surprise song Piano, and I made that into a whole gown, and I put so much effort into it. I spent a whole day painting the skirt, and it is one of my favorite pieces. I also kind of realized I really love painting, so I want to do more of that. I don't know if it's like painting on an outfit, but maybe just like painting on a canvas or something, because I really tried this year to improve my skills. I got an iPad. I started drawing. I don't love drawing on an iPad, but I do love the whole textiles and working with different textiles with my hands. And I think that's what I'm going to maybe focus more on, is instead of sketching on an iPad, maybe just sketching in real life, on a pad. Maybe I just need to get better at the iPad. I don't know. And I love that dress. I thought it was so creative, implementing the piano keys as the little puff sleeves. I even made a little choker to go with it. I loved my makeup and my hair that day. And that skirt, it was so glorious. I would love to just at some point, if I have a house, I really just want to display all my favorite pieces on mannequins, and she's going to be the number one. But yeah, no, she's probably my favorite piece I made this year, because it just turned out so perfect.
It was glorious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Obviously the Taylor premiere day was a huge moment this year. And there's some really standout parts where the whole line going through security, singing All Too Well together was really nice. And then our theater, as we discussed, didn't have anyone dancing in it except us, but it was also a really sweet, just all of us dancing together to the songs in a movie theater. It's just not something you do. It's a whole phenomenon, all the Taylor Swift dancing that occurred in the theater this year, and it's so freeing kind of to throw those rules out the window and just not care and have fun. It was really, really nice.
Yeah, that was such a good time. Oh, and obviously seeing Taylor that close up, nothing can compare.
Well,
and she looked at me.
It could compare if we, the thing is, it's kind of dulled by the fact that we didn't know that there's a fan lineup right around the corner where we could have lined up and met her. And I just and I'm so it was so cool seeing her so close up and her coming into the theater. But after that, talking to everyone, how everyone met her, and we didn't know. We could have literally gone around the corner and waited on the fan lineup. I was just so bummed.
I know.
Didn't know. Don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Someday it'll happen.
One day, hopefully. I really just want to meet her so bad.
All right. So one of my favorite moments this year was going to the Barbie premiere. This was my number one movie this year. I did not even think, there was so much competition, I felt, for people who really, really wanted to attend this premiere. And as I know, as someone who does work in the industry, they do pick the same people over and over and over again. And so I didn't think I had any chance to, but I definitely put it in Taya's mind. I'm like, if you get invited, you pick me because I make you a dress. Okay, that's how it works. So when she got the invite, she got it through TikTok. She sent me, she like called me on FaceTime, and it was probably about 4 days until the premiere. And she was like, hey, so did you get any emails today? And I'm like, not anything that's like exciting. And she goes, okay, well, would you want to be my plus one of the bar premiere? I was like, yes. I screamed so hard. And the first thing I was like, we need to sew now. I'm like, it's in 4 days. We got to get going. Cause it was like a Wednesday, I think she got, and it was on a Sunday. So she was at the gym. She's like, okay, I'm going to come over. We can go to Joanne's. And so she picks me up. We go to Joanne's and we start like trying to like quickly figure out like what we're going to make and what she wants even her dress to look like. And we start just like throwing pink fabrics into the mix. I already had a like pink sparkly fabric that I wanted to make. So I luckily already had that. I just had to buy some extra stuff. And we spent like 4 days. I spent 2 days on my outfit and then like 2 days on Taya's outfit. And if you had seen me making of the video, I didn't love what I was making, but it turned out like so pretty, and I was so happy with like the hair and the makeup and everything for the premiere. And Taya's look was just phenomenal. She looked like a Barbie. Just so cute. So we got to the premiere, and it was a very different experience because we usually go to premieres and like everyone's on the carpet. We kind of just come like a little earlier, but we actually just had full reign of the carpet without like any photographers, any press or anything. We got there really early at like, I think our call time was like 2:45. Yeah. And there was a bunch of TikTokers there that I've loved, and just I've loved their content and I've enjoyed them. And it was really fun because I think that was one of the most fun parts, was meeting all these content creators that I love to watch. So we got to take our own content on the carpet, and then they shuttled us to a bar where they provided dinner and drinks and everything, and we could be there for like 2 hours, and then they shuttled us back to the theater to watch the movie. But in this time, there were so many creators there that Tay and I were just like, oh my gosh. But the one creator who like blew up this year, which is Alex Earl, was there, and that was the first person Tay and I were like, oh my god, it's Alex Earl. Like, we love her.
Who's Alex Earl?
Oh my god, Christine. She's like the get ready with me queen. Like, she started this year off. She's the one who started the whole like talking while you get ready. Not the one who started it, but the one who made it like famous on TikTok. She's very blonde, very Barbie-esque.
YouTubers used to do that too.
No, I know, but like, I'm not saying she's the first one. I'm just saying like she blew up on TikTok because of this sort of style, because TikTok before then was just like transition videos, and then it started becoming more conversational, FaceTime-y videos.
Okay.
And so she blew up at the beginning of this year, and it was just so fun to watch her like going on all these trips. And does everyone know who Alex Earl is? If you don't, let me know. We go over to talk to her and like just approach her, and she's so sweet and so kind. Taya is talking to her PR manager, and then I'm talking to Alex Earl, and Alex, I don't know, I'm like trying to come up with questions to talk to her. Like, I love her, and I literally made a fool of myself because I just kept saying, oh my god, you're just so pretty, oh my god, oh my god, you look so gorgeous. And I didn't know how to continue a conversation. It was a very weird experience.
Welcome to my life.
Because she's not like really big into like the entertainment industry, but so I tried to ask her questions about her life because obviously I know so much about her. It was a very parasocial relationship that was happening. And then she started asking me questions about myself. And then I was like looking over to Taya. I'm like, Taya, can you come and enter this conversation? Like, we both were just and it was a very long time. It was about 20 minutes. And
20 minutes of talking about nothing?
Yes. And I
Oh
tried
my
to
God,
ask
that
her
sounds
like
like
all these questions about
torture.
herself. And then she was like, and what about yourself? And I'm like, yeah, I do this and
I
this.
hate when that
And
happens
then-
because everyone's like too nervous to actually share information about themselves because they don't want to talk about themselves in depth. So it just like bounces
Yes.
back and forth about nothing.
Yeah. And then finally Taya and her PR manager, like joined the conversation, and it got a little better because it was like the four of us. And then it was right before Alex was starting her podcast too, and she wanted to do like long form content and things. And then I was giving her advice like on YouTube and using like an editor. She's like, I feel like I want to do it all myself. And I'm like, no, don't. Find someone you trust. So that was that. And I also got to meet Patrick Starr. I had always seen him at events like from back in the YouTube days, but now like I finally got to have a conversation with him, so that was really fun. And obviously seeing the movie with that huge audience, Tay and I got to have these great seats where no one was around us because our seats were covered by a camera, and they ended up putting us on these like fold out chairs, and I was super comfortable as a plus size lady, and we got to like take our shoes off. It was so wonderful. But I remember very vividly during the like na, 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 and like looking over at Taya, and we're both bawling, and we're just like anyways, it was a wonderful event, and I'm so glad I got to go, and I'm so glad we got to be a part of so many like women movement events this year, like being a part of the Barbie premiere, the Taylor Swift concert, the premiere. I got to go see Beyonce, like all of these women who made such an integral and important impact on our economy and on our lives. And I got to be in a small part of it. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. It's been a great year for the ladies. All right. The last moment of the year on our list here. It was just a magical day from start to finish. We've done an episode about it. But it was the Eras Tour concert. And I just like getting into that outfit that Natasha made me, which was like the coolest thing ever that I've ever worn. Like I was just like magical. The whole like vibe of getting ready and like making videos and like driving, everything felt like magical. Like going down the million ramps to get to the floor, walking onto the floor. Everything except the porta potties. I feel like you might have told that story on the podcast.
I think I did. I'm not going to tell it
Yeah.
again, but it was so fucking hot, and we were just like so wet in there as you're peeing.
Yeah. Like I like seeing vigilante shit for the first time and having no idea about that choreography, like losing my fucking mind when like the rep set came on, like wasn't expecting any of these reactions. And then like the mastermind moment where like Natasha and I were just like dancing and singing, and it felt like Taylor was like singing right at us in a room where it was only us, because like everyone was sitting down. She was like right at the corner where we were screaming. It was just it was magical as fuck. And it's that moment is not captured on any film, but like I will always remember it. And there's so many little things like that from that day. And years from now, it's going to be like the Eras Tour is going to be legend. Like this year of Taylor Swift will be legend. If we were there. And that's so cool.
So cool. Yeah. Like I'll never forget her like running to us when she was singing August. And it was so fun to watch the concert and then like remember the moments like from a different perspective too.
Yes. Yeah, because we saw it from the side, and then seeing it from the front at the regular concert was really cool. And like opened our eyes to like other things that we couldn't see during the regular concert. It was amazing. And those are, do you have anything to add about Taylor Swift Day?
No, it's just like one of the best moments.
Yeah.
It was so fun, and we were so scared about getting out of the concert, but we actually had a very easy time. I think because we
because we parked near
we took
the
our
exit.
time. Well, and it took us a long time to get out of the stadium
Well,
because we had to walk
stayed
up
in the
those
stadium.
fucking flights.
Well, we stayed in the stadium
Yes.
for a long time after, and I also
did.
really loved that. I love just being in there and like kind of like letting it all sink in before we leave. It was really nice.
And well, then we were like, as we were leaving, we didn't get any merch, but all this like unofficial merch these guys were selling. We're like, what sizes do you have? Will you take this much? We just kept collecting different shirts.
Unofficial merch. But yeah, those are our top 23 moments of 2023. And we asked all of you on our Instagram at Those Working Fangirls, what your favorite episodes of the podcast were of this year. I think we're going to try to put together like a little survey to get more information from y'all, just on like, so we have more kind of guidelines of like where we want to go with season 2. But I've got a top 4. We both have our top 4 episodes of the year, but first let's tell you, I want to like let you know what the results were here for your top episodes of the year, how y'all voted. And at the top of the voting, everyone's favorite episode of the year seems to be the Brothers episode, where we had Alex and Paul on, which was so much fun. But I remember afterward, we were like, I at least felt like really insecure about it, because toward the end there was like a lot of blank space in between impressions. And I was like, wait, is this a bad episode? But then it was everyone's favorite, and it's like my comfort episode. Like I'll play it when I like need something to just calm me down.
Yeah, same. I love that episode, and it was just so fun because it was like one of the first things we ever talked about, and it just went over so well. And I think so many of my friends and family listened to that one too, and they were just like, yeah, it was so funny. We're just howling the whole time.
Yeah, it was just like such a fun dynamic. And I think we can do like a Brothers episode 2 of just like different, just different questions to get different stories out of them and all that stuff. I think that will be fun. Number 2 episode of the year voted by y'all was the booktube to author journey, where we had Sasha on, which was also like a really emotional, vulnerable episode, which while we were recording it, it was just like flowing out. And then afterward I had like a panic attack. I was like, wait, I don't know. I need to edit this myself. I remember I was like taking really detailed notes, because it's just like, you're just always paranoid about like saying the wrong thing. And like, obviously everyone's feelings are valid, but you also don't want to like, I don't know, say the wrong thing when you're like being vulnerable. It's hard to walk that line. Thank you. Number 3 was,
these are 2 different episodes.
Oh, are they 2 different episodes?
Yeah, because we did the rom-com movies, and then this is a different episode. With Christina Lauren.
I put them as one, so obviously they wouldn't be number 3 then, because some of the votes were for like the God tier romance tropes, and some of them were for the Christina Lawrence rom-coms, and I thought they were 1. Oh. Hey.
Oh, then.
Thank you. Quiet. We'll just jump over that one.
So,
all right. Then coming in number 3 was our Gilmore Girls episode.
Oh,
which pretty recent. Everybody loves talking about the Gilmore Girls. And then after that episode, like it starts to get kind of like tied. Then we had the Eras Tour recap, that concert, and then Millennial vs. Gen Z with Taya, the Forks episode, live from Forks, living with your friends, like moving to be closer to your friends, not living with them. And then Marvel hot takes, and then at 10 was and then 10 was the best eras of Taylor Swift, the one that we did with Abby. And I can't remember if that was in this year or the year before, but I let it stay on since
that was
this
at
is
the
our first season.
beginning of this year.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was a really fun episode. Some people just said all the Taylor Swift ones, and I was like, I can't put that down. So, so the vote doesn't count. Natasha, what was your favorite episode of the year?
Well, the brother episode.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Is so good. I also have things that have been uber hyped because I thought it was so funny that we just put down random shit and not like real stuff. And I'll re-listen to that
like
one.
that.
And then I have god tier romance tropes because I was very specific and I thought I was very funny in that. And then iconic costumes with Chloe because that was a really succinct, really good episode.
Yeah. On that same note, I really liked the fandom longevity episode that we did with Chloe. I loved the "Do we move closer to live near your friends" episode. I really like those episodes where we like dissect an idea. And then I have the Shadow and Bone premiere episode. I love that episode.
Yeah,
that one's really fun. A lot of fun stories there. And then of course the brother episode is on my top. I love all the Taylor Swift episodes too, but it's hard to choose. So they ended up not getting on the list since there's so many on like the viewer favorites list. All right. Well, we're going to move right on into Mary Kiss Cliff, y'all. Last one of the year. All right.
Do you have just one floating around in your head?
Yeah, I'm just making it up right now. We're going to go Ian Somerhalder, who plays Damon from The Vampire Diaries. Dean from the Gilmore Girls, who is Sam in real life. Right? That's his name?
No, it's not. It's Jared Padalecki. Sam is in Supernatural.
Sam? Oh, okay. And then for number 3, I'm picking the guy who plays 4 from 4 Divergent.
Theo James?
Theo James. So
these are actors?
Yeah.
Not their characters?
Not their characters. Theo James, Ian Somerhalder, or Jared Padalecki. Mary Kiss Cliff. I need to see them. I need to write them down.
Okay. I'm marrying Theo James because he's one of my favorite actors and he's British. So at least I'll have dual citizenship.
Oh my God.
I'm going to kiss Jared Padalecki and I'm going to cliff Ian Somerhalder.
Oh my God. Those blue eyes are going to go off a cliff.
Yeah, I mean, I love him, but I like Jared's really tall and really fit. I really like him.
Well, I am going to marry Jared Padalecki.
What? You're going to marry Jared?
I think
you don't even know him.
I know him as much as I know these two. I'm not talking about their characters. Based solely on looks and vibes, I think I would marry Jared and kiss Ian because I'm just like, Ian scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the same.
Yeah. And then I'm going to cliff Theo James because I don't really love his acting.
Oh.
Oh. Sorry, Theo. You seem like a cool person. But all the characters he plays kind of makes me be like, Or maybe I'm just thinking of the White Lotus, but that's the last time I saw him, and that character was like,
Oh, he's a fucking asshole.
All right.
He's in Sanditon.
Oh, see, I haven't watched Sanditon, so. Ooh. He was in Downton Abbey in one episode, and he died. In the pilot. All right. We're going to move into chapter chat. This is the last chapter chat of the year. We're thinking of rearranging how we do this next year. And maybe doing it as a separate segment that gets in the feed, but like is separate. So it's not attached to the show.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Just because, I mean, obviously we're running probably about 2 hours and 15
Way over
minutes
time.
right now. And I think people who are reading the book, because a lot of people just skip out on this at the end, would like that. So, that's
And it makes
probably
it
what
more
we'll end up
accessible for
doing.
people who are reading the book to just go to the episode that has it. But today we're doing it here. We're doing chapters 36 and chapter 36 and chapter 37. Let's do it. All right, Natasha,
Right.
walk us through chapter 36.
This chapter, finally, we are at the heist. I feel like it's just been leading up to this and like
For a long
finally
time.
fucking here. So they say their goodbyes, kind of, because Tarquin and Cressida don't really know, but they're like, okay, well, we're gonna have our last dinner together. Like, we'll see you in the morning. We'll see you off. And then, of course, Feyre is still feeling very guilty. And
she's like,
she goes,
liar.
you lying bitch. That's what she talks to herself. Yeah, she's like, at one moment, she's like, oh, I feel like I should just tell him right now. But then she feels Rhysand's hand on her back, and he's like, no.
Yeah, and from the way
So-
they reacted before, she's like, they wouldn't hand it over if we asked.
No, they definitely wouldn't. So the plan is that Rhys is going to drop off Feyre and Amren. You say Armin, it's Amren. At
I've
this little
changed to
hut.
Amren.
Oh, good job. At the whatever. It's not a hut. What is it called?
It's a temple.
The temple. At the temple, and he's gonna fly around and keep watch, and make sure like everything's good. The alarms aren't gonna be, and he's gonna take down any guards that will alert Tarquin. So, Amren and Feyre, start like looking around, right? I think that's
They
how
go
it
into
works.
the
They start
temple. They go all the way down the stairs. They find it. It's like, it's a bunch of like nothing, like they go in there, they feel it.
Yeah.
It sucks. There's water down there. They have to like trudge through like
And they have
a
to
low
dig.
level of water. Yeah. They have to dig, and it's just a bunch of, they find the door and they get down there and there's the book. But there's this moment, like really nothing happens except for like them finding the book in the temple, and they have to go through different doors and shit. But they
she
get
has to
there
open the
and-
door.
Yeah, but like
Remember?
she just becomes Tarquin. Yeah, she becomes Tarquin to do it, right?
Yeah, I thought that was a big deal.
I guess.
I think it's the first time she's done that. Amber doesn't make like she doesn't like say anything about it. All like Amber is focusing on is the fact like
It's
it
the
feels
book.
a lot different is this book, and it feels terrible. And by the way, this is the
Yeah.
half of the Book of Breathings. I completely forgot about it. It's not the full book. It's only the half.
Yeah, it's half. Also, yeah, she's talking about the feeling of the cauldron and how it feels so bad.
Yeah.
But I remembered something else and it just escaped my mind again. But the wards. Yeah. So Amren keeps saying like, there's no wards, but their magic is like nullified in here. So she can't feel the wards. So really they're like setting off all these wards. And Amren can't register that they are doing it. So she just keeps being like, okay, there's nothing here. Let's keep going.
Yeah, and like Race obviously can't feel anything through the bottom because it's all being
It's nullified.
So everything keeps whispering to Feyre, I feel. Like,
Well,
they're
okay.
like, oh,
It's just the stuff from the cauldron. But the Book of Breathings, when she's in the room, it's like, who are you? And she lies to
What are
it.
you?
And I'm like, bitch, tell her who you are. Like, it's gonna know if you're lying. Like, she was like, I'm Tarquin, I'm your master. And then she picks up the book and it's like, liar. And the whole door slams shut and they get sealed in this water-filling tomb.
Mm-hmm. So in the next chapter 37.
In the next chapter, she's trying to get out of the tomb. She's got Amram on her back. They're like climbing these steps, trying to bang on this door that's locked.
Door, like using all their powers.
They get through one door and another door closes.
Her talons come out, which are
claws
from
Tamlin.
Because obviously these are Tamlin's powers of
shape-shifting.
What is it? Shape-shifting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, the water flows in.
Well, yeah.
And
the water. So what was interesting is like the water basically works for Tarquin. Like it's his servant. So it's drowning the thieves. But luckily, Feyre gave a water nymph a piece of jewelry to pay her dues to taxes to Tamlin, and they come and save them. They rip open the door, and Feyre's like drowning. She had to take a breath of air, and she started to drown. And then she wakes up on the beach with Rysand over them, and he's like, "What's going on? Where have you guys been?"
It's so irritating in this like first part.
Yeah, and Amren's so mad. And he's like, "Did you get it?" And the book is in her pocket, and then he just winnows them out. And for some reason, I remember a big battle going down. I'm like, do they come back to the Summer Court and have a battle?
I don't remember a big battle.
There's definitely
maybe
a
Rhys
battle.
talks about it, but he's out there. He's taking out guards, by the way, the whole time.
Yeah. He was like going and manipulating guards' minds, I think, when they realized something was going on. And he winnows them right out into like the living room of the townhouse, and everyone's there and they're like, "What the fuck?"
Moore's like, "Can someone please explain
what's going on?" And so Rysand has her take out the book and put it on the table, and it's in this lead box, and he's like, "Can you open it?" And the book's like whispering to her, like, "Hi, Feyre Cuthbert, what's up?"
No, it goes, "Hello, liar."
and then she
hello.
puts like all her powers into it because it won't open. And then it says, "Hi, Feyre Cursebreaker," or "Hi, Cursebreaker."
Yeah, well, it says, "Say please, say please." The box, the
it
book
says, "Say
was
please," when she
silent,
says
and it said,
"Open."
"Like calls to like, open, unmade and made, made and unmade. That is a cycle. Like calls to like."
Yeah, I was like, "Shut up, book." It just kept saying the same thing over and over.
A book.
It was like calls to like, made, unmade, made, unlaid. And I was just like, open. But it opens and she's like, "Oh, my reading lessons were all for naught," because it's not on like a leather book. It's like pieces of metal with symbols carved into them on rings of metal. And it's in the text of like these ancient powerful ones, which I think are the beings that we see in Crescent City. I think this is like confirmation. The way that they were talking about it felt very much like that. And they're talking about how maybe this Armin's the only one who can translate it, because Armin is one of these beings, it sounds like we've been theorizing. And the beings were here and then they disappeared, just like we kind of hear in Crescent City. And Armin has been exiled from her people for thousands and thousands of years because her portal, or however she got here, was sealed. And Rysand is like, maybe this will explain how you can get back. And she's like very touched, and like says thank you. And that's kind of where the chapter ends.
Yeah. The language is the Lashon HaKodesh, the holy tongue.
Yeah. Of the great ones or something.
Yeah.
The great ancient ones or something.
I thought they started talking about Jurian or something.
Oh, yeah, they do. Okay. So they talk about what they're like, there's a puzzle piece that's still missing. Because like, why did the king of Hybern raise Jurian from the dead? And what does he have on Jurian that Jurian's like working for him? And at this point, Feyre doesn't know much about these people, so it's like kind of confusing for us too, the way that she's not really being explained the whole situation. But like Miriam, I think, was the other maid person, but she was just like resurrected and made. She wasn't turned into a fae. She's like human, right? And that was Jurian's lover. And now, is it? Or was it the sister of Aramantha? I'm kind of confused because I thought it was Aramantha's sister.
Says, would Jurian ally with Hybern just because he thinks Miriam is dead and wants her back?
And then there's Miriam's with Draken, and we see them on that island in the 3rd book. Remember, like they come with troops and stuff. It's confusing. I never really this like aspect of these books. I never really like cared enough.
Grasp.
And I never grasped it completely. Yeah. It's one of those like tidbits that kind of goes over your head until it comes back around to mean more. Just like the stuff with like the book that went over my head. I was like, whatever, who fucking gives a care? Who fucking gives a care? Who fucking gives a shit about these? Or they're like, because they never go into more detail about it until these other books where we're like, oh, she has an overarching plan. Yeah. So, planting seeds. I didn't remember the book going like this. Like, I didn't remember the order of things. So, like, when does she have the mating ceremony? Like, when do they share a bed? When is this happening?
Chapter like 56. So you've got a little bit of ways to go. 55.
But I'm not
56.
looking. I'm not really paying attention to that. I'm like thinking in terms of the story. I'm like, what prompts them to go on that trip? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Well, she has to go under the mountain, not under the mountain. She has to go see the bone keeper, the bone something, right? Is that
We already
happened in
went
this book?
there. We already saw him.
We did?
Yeah, the bone carver. We already did it.
Oh. Oops.
Yeah, it's just a while ago since we're reading so slow. But anyway, I think that's where we're going to wrap up for today. Last episode of 2023. Thank you all so much for being here with us. We appreciate you so hard. If you're not already, we'd love it if you followed us on socials. We've got our Twitter and TikTok and Instagram linked in the show notes. On Instagram, we're at Those Working Fangirls. Chloe Leverson is running our socials, and she's doing an amazing job. I was going to say bang up. Do people still say bang up? She's doing a bang up job over there. Make sure you're following it. Make sure you're following us on the YouTube if you like the visual version. And our podcast is edited by Jake Needham and Alex Polis, and the music is done by Cole Jenkins with vocals by Heather Traska. And we make videos. We release episodes every Friday. We'll see you in the new year. Oh my
Season
God.
2, baby.
Season 2, baby. In Tea Time today, we're going to be diving into some other moments that maybe like didn't make our list, but they're a little more personal, a little more tea, and that should be fun. So if you want to join us with that, it's available at the Patreon, and that's linked in the show notes as well. We love y'all. This is a viewer supported show, so we couldn't do it without our patrons. If you want to join that community, treat yourself. There's an annual subscription. You get 2 months for free. It's a great time to treat yourself. Christmas, the holiday season is amongst us. Yeah. I'm Christine.
I'm Natasha.
And we'll see you next year. Unless you have
Bye.
patron, then we'll have fangirl bonding.
Yes.